We live in a time with more homemaking tools than any generation before us. Dishwashers, grocery pickup, washing machines, drying machines, meal planning apps, robot vacuums, online tutorials for everything imaginable, cleaning routines, organizing systems, meal prep strategies, home decor trends, and on paper, homemaking should be easier than ever. But here's the question nobody seems able to answer. Why are more homemakers feeling overwhelmed now than ever before? Burned out, behind, constantly trying to catch up, and never quite getting there. And if that sounds familiar, stay with me because by the end of this video, you may see your home and your role in a completely different way. But before we get into that, I just want to say hi. I'm JoJo's AI avatar. JoJo is a Gen X mom and grandma who spent decades taking care of her home and her people, learning what actually works in real life, not just what sounds good online. Around here, she believes experience matters, common sense still counts, and you don't have to be perfect to do things well. So, whether we're talking about something simple or something complicated, I'm just here to share what she's learned along the way. All right, now let's get back to what we were talking about. So, what's actually going on here? How can we have more convenience, more technology, more shortcuts, and still feel like we're drowning in our own homes? It's not that you don't care, it's not that you're lazy, and it is absolutely not that you lack heart or dedication to your family. In fact, most overwhelmed homemakers I talk to are some of the hardest working women I know. They are running themselves ragged, trying to do everything for everyone all the time. They want a peaceful, functional home. They want stability. They want calm. But they were never actually taught how to create one. And that right there is the missing piece most modern homemaking advice completely ignores. And we're going to unpack that together today. Sure, many of us learned how to clean. Some of us learned how to cook. We learned chores, maintenance, busy work. But homemaking was never meant to be just an endless to do list. And if your days feel like nothing but maintenance, that's not a personal failure. It's a system failure. Because the real work, the deep work, is learning how to create a home, not decorate it, not perfect it, create it. And that kind of intentional homemaking knowledge used to be passed from one generation to the next for most of human history. Not because women were perfect, not because life was slower or easier. It was actually much harder then than it is now. But because homemaking was understood as a skill, a craft, a responsibility that shaped the entire emotional climate of a family, and somewhere along the way, that knowledge stopped being passed down consistently. A few generations ago, the mindset, the systems, the deeper understanding of how to build a peaceful home began to fade. And here's the part that matters most. Modern homemakers were handed tools, but not blueprints, advice, but not wisdom, tasks, but not purpose. And if you've ever felt like you're doing everything you're supposed to do, still feeling behind, that's exactly why. So today, we are not talking about cleaning hacks. And I promise, this is not another perfect home video. We're not talking about aesthetic pantries. We're not talking about color coded storage bins. We're not talking about chasing trends that look good on camera but fall apart in real life. Instead, we're going deeper. Today, we are talking about traditional homemaking wisdom. We're talking about homemaking mindset. We're talking about simple, common sense systems that actually reduce stress instead of creating more work. And before you assume that means complicated routines, let me reassure you now it's the opposite. And I'll show you exactly why as we go. Because homemaking isn't about perfection, it isn't about doing more, and it definitely isn't about constantly feeling exhausted inside your own home. Real homemaking is the act of creating home. It is intentionally shaping the space your family lives in into a place of safety, peace, comfort, and belonging. So, for a moment, I want you to pause with me. Stop thinking about your house. Stop thinking about your to do list. Stop thinking about what your home looks like to other people. Instead, think about how home feels. Everyone has a sense of home, a feeling that the word home evokes, that place where we belong, that place that we find peace, that sanctuary. It's love, it's belonging, because that feeling, that sense of calm and stability, is the real goal of homemaking. Creating that space, that home that everyone knows and loves, creating and tending that, that's what homemakers really do. And I know hearing that can feel overwhelming at first. You're probably thinking, great, now there's even more work to do. But here's the part that surprises most people, and this may be the most encouraging thing you hear today. Creating a peaceful, functional home is not complicated. It doesn't require perfection. It doesn't require expensive systems or rigid routines. It doesn't require more work. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It starts with your mindset. You have to move past the normal struggling human mindset. You have to develop and adapt the homemaker mindset. You have to become the keeper of the hearth. And once that mindset shifts, everything else becomes simpler: your systems, your routines, your daily rhythm. In fact, once you begin to understand these principles, you may find yourself wondering why you struggled so hard for so long, when the foundations of creating home were actually simple all along. And in this video, we're going to start rebuilding that foundation together, step by step. First things first, if you're burned out, confused, constantly restarting routines, or feeling like homemaking is somehow harder than everyone says it should be, I want you to pause for a moment, because what I'm about to say may be the most important thing you hear in this entire video. You are not alone, and you are not broken, but, and this is the honest part, something is off. Not with you, with the way modern homemaking is being taught. And once you start seeing this, you can't unsee it. And suddenly, a lot of things that used to feel confusing start making sense, because many homemakers today are unknowingly working against themselves. They are making their jobs harder than they should be and creating more stress and chaos for themselves and their entire households. They're putting in real effort, real time, real heart, and still feeling like they're spinning their wheels, constantly behind, constantly trying to catch up. And if you've ever laid your head down at night feeling exhausted but wondering what you actually accomplished, stay with me, because there's a reason for that feeling. It's not because you're incapable, it's not because you're lazy, and it's definitely not because you don't care enough. It's because many modern homemakers have been handed expectations without foundations, advice without context, and systems that were never designed for real everyday life. This is the perfect setup for failure. For most of human history, homemaking wasn't something you learned from quick tips or viral videos. It was lived, modeled, passed down from one generation to the next through watching, helping, and listening to the wisdom of the elders. But today, many women are learning homemaking from short clips, curated photos, and people who show the result, but rarely the process. And that creates a very quiet kind of pressure that most people don't even recognize, because without realizing it, you start believing things like you need to schedule every minute of your day just to keep up, that you need constant motivation to do normal daily work, that your home needs to look beautiful and picture perfect to be considered done, that you need complicated meal plans and elaborate cooking to be a good homemaker. And here's where I'm going to be very honest with you, because someone needs to say it out loud. Every bit of that is nonsense, utter nonsense. Not just unrealistic, but deeply exhausting. And if you've ever tried to follow those kinds of systems and felt more overwhelmed instead of less, that's not your failure. That's a sign the system itself is flawed. Because real homemaking was never meant to feel like a performance. It was never meant to require constant reinvention, constant motivation, or constant comparison to someone else's highlight reel. Real homemaking is quieter than that. It's built on simple, repeatable habits, a realistic mindset, and systems that quietly support your life instead of controlling it. And once you start recognizing the difference between performance based homemaking and peace based homemaking, everything starts to shift. Your expectations change, your routines become simpler, and the pressure you've been carrying begins to lift, sometimes faster than you expect. And in the next section, we're going to start looking at the first real shift that moves you out of overwhelm and into a homemaking approach that actually works in real life. Because this is where things start getting practical.
Tough love.
This is the tough love section. And before we go any further, I want you to hear this clearly. I include myself in this because I've done every one of these at some point. So this is not judgment, this is recognition. And as we walk through these, you're probably going to see yourself in at least one, maybe more. Most people do. And that moment of recognition is actually where real change begins. And I will tell you now, the last one on this list quietly steals more progress than almost anything else we do. Number one, constant restarting. Every Monday is a brand new system. Every new planner is a fresh life overhaul. And in the moment, it feels hopeful. It feels like you're finally going to get everything together. But instead of building consistency, you keep starting over, which means you never get the benefits of routine and you never actually finish. And if you've ever felt that rush of excitement setting up a new system, only to feel defeated 2 weeks later, you are not alone, because the problem isn't lack of effort, it's lack of consistency long enough to see results. And when you keep restarting, you never give your systems time to support you. And that leads directly into the next trap. Because when you're constantly restarting, it becomes very easy to believe that the problem is your home instead of the expectations you're placing on it. Number two, trying to run a Pinterest home instead of a real home. Real homes have piles of dirty laundry sometimes. Real kitchens get messy every day. That's why we clean them every day. And if your home looks lived in, that's not failure. That's evidence of life happening inside it. But when you chase perfection, you start designing your home for appearance instead of function. And chasing perfection creates exhaustion, not peace. And I want you to pause here for just a second and think honestly. How many times have you felt like your home was behind simply because it didn't look like something you saw online? Because real homemaking is not about staging a life, it's about supporting life. And when perfection becomes the standard, something else quietly slips away: consistency, which brings us to one of the biggest hidden struggles in homemaking today. Number three, waiting for motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Some days you feel energized, some days you don't want to do anything at all. And when your entire system depends on how you feel, your home becomes unstable. Feelings are temporary and fleeting. You don't base your life on temporary and fleeting things. You don't run your home based on temporary and fleeting things. You run your home on habits and structure. You get up and do the job because it's your job, whether you feel like it or not. You are keeper of the hearth. That is one of the most important roles there is in this world. You chose to accept it, so do it, even on the days you don't feel like it. And this is one of those truths that can feel uncomfortable at first, but incredibly freeing once you accept it. Because when you let your habits carry the weight, you don't have to fight yourself every single day just to start. And when motivation disappears, which it will, your home still functions. If you let habits and structure disappear and be replaced by feelings, things start to slip, slowly at first, and then all at once. Soon everything will collapse and everyone in the home will suffer, which leads directly into the next habit that makes homemaking feel overwhelming very quickly. Number four, ignoring maintenance until crisis mode. Small daily tasks prevent big, overwhelming cleaning days, but many people unintentionally let things pile up until everything feels impossible. And if you've ever looked around your home and thought, how did it get this bad so fast? Chances are it didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly, quietly, through delayed maintenance. By maintenance, I'm not talking about changing filters on the air conditioner, though that should be done regularly. I'm talking about the maintenance of keeping the floor clear so people can walk on it. I'm talking about keeping dishes cleaned so people can eat off of them. I'm talking about keeping bathrooms cleaned so people can bathe without getting even dirtier. Basic household work is the maintenance, and it must be done. Even though it's not exciting, it isn't dramatic, it doesn't feel like a big accomplishment in the moment, but it is the quiet backbone of a peaceful home. And when maintenance is ignored, crisis mode takes over, and suddenly everything feels urgent, overwhelming, and exhausting. And now we come to one of the most common habits of all, and one that feels productive on the surface, which is why so many people get stuck here for years. Number five, consuming more content than taking action. Watching organizing videos can feel productive, but it doesn't actually fold the laundry or wash the dishes. Learning has its place, inspiration has its place. But there comes a point where consuming more advice becomes a substitute for actually doing the work. And if you've ever spent an hour watching cleaning motivation videos and then felt too tired or overwhelmed to start your own tasks, you know exactly what this looks like. Because knowledge without action creates frustration, not progress. Now, hear me clearly. These habits don't make you a bad homemaker. They just make your life harder than it needs to be. And life is hard enough. Why are we wasting time and energy making it even harder? And the good news is, once you recognize these patterns, you can start replacing them with systems that actually support your real life. And that's exactly what we're going to keep building as we move forward. There are real reasons so many homemakers feel lost today, and as we walk through these, I want you to listen for the one that makes you quietly say, "Oh, that's me," because most people recognize themselves somewhere in this list, and that recognition is where real change starts. And I'll tell you now, the last one we talk about may be the biggest shift of all. Number one, decision fatigue. You're making more choices than ever: what to cook, how to clean, what system to use, what routine to follow, what products to buy. And here's something most people don't realize until they feel completely exhausted. More options do not make life easier, they make decision making harder. All too often, we just give up because we can't settle on one choice. We spend too much time looking at options, getting stressed out, comparing everything, and then just giving up because we can't choose. And if you've ever opened your phone to look for a better system and suddenly an hour disappeared, you already know exactly what I mean. This serves no purpose, and it hurts our home. And the worst part, it feels like you're trying to improve things, when in reality, you're draining your mental energy before the real work even starts. And if that sounds familiar, wait until you hear the next one, because this is where the pressure really starts building. Number two, comparison culture. You're constantly seeing the highlight reel of other homes, no, not their real daily messes. There is a saying that was common when I was a child that went like this: keeping up with the Joneses. It basically meant seeing what others have and trying to have that as well. It's a horrible way to live, but the generation before me took it to heart. They chased that. Instead of doing the best for ourselves and our families, the goal shifted to ensuring we did better than the people around us. Life became competition with everyone else. And I want you to pause here for a second and really think about this. How much of your stress actually comes from comparing your home to someone else's version of life? Because it should not be competition. It's not about everyone else. It's about our family, our home, our space. Homemaking has nothing to do with what everyone else buys for their homes. It's not about what the magazines and websites tell us are the newest trends. That is all completely irrelevant. I need you to truly understand that. What everyone else is buying has absolutely nothing to do with you and your family. It's not a competition. Know this in your soul. And once you start letting go of comparison, you begin to notice another trap that looks helpful on the surface, but actually steals more time than almost anything else. Number three, perfectionism disguised as productivity. You think you're being productive, but really you're just chasing an impossible standard. You may have spent all day making your living room look absolutely beautiful, magazine cover worthy. However, you didn't get anything else done. Kids came home and you didn't have time to talk to them. You neglected your daily maintenance work to do one thing perfectly, which means you wasted your day to make yourself feel good. But that feeling will pass as soon as you realize how far behind you are because you wasted so much time on one inconsequential thing, and this one is especially tricky because it feels productive in the moment. You look around that beautiful room and feel pride at what you have accomplished. You feel joy looking at the beauty you created. It feels like accomplishment. It feels like progress. Then you start to become aware of the rest of life and those feelings fade. You get weighed down under the pressure of having so much work to do and no time left to do it because you spend it all creating a perfect aesthetic. But real home bacon isn't about perfect moments. It's about consistent daily support for real life. And when perfection becomes the goal, balance quietly disappears. And that leads us to something many people don't even realize they're missing until someone finally says it out loud. Number four, lack of clear expectations. Everyone has a different idea of what good enough is. To some, good enough is picture perfect. To others, it's counters piled high with anything and everything, floors covered in clutter and mess, and echoes of normalizing the mess. These are the extremes. And I want you to really hear this part because this confusion alone creates massive stress for modern homemakers. No one should look to either extreme as the standard. Picture perfect homes are not made for people, they are made for cameras. Filthy homes are not made for people, they are made for mice and cockroaches. My home is made for my family, and your home is made for your family, not cameras or cockroaches. And when you stop chasing extremes, something very important begins to shift in how you see your role. And because one of the biggest problems of all is this: homemaking is often treated like performance instead of stewardship. Your home is not a stage, it's not the backdrop of your TikTok videos. It is a living, breathing space meant to support your people. It is sanctuary, it is love, it is sustenance. It is not a show for the world to watch. And once you truly understand that, once you let that settle in, a lot of pressure starts to fall away. And in the next section, we're going to talk about what homemaking looks like when it's built on stewardship instead of performance, because that's where real clarity begins. Before we talk about routines or systems, we need to talk about purpose. And I want you to stay with me here because this layer changes how everything else in this video will make sense. Because homemaking is not just a collection of chores, it's not just busy work, it is the tending of the hearth, the creation of the place people long to return to at the end of a long day. And when you truly understand that, even ordinary tasks begin to feel different. Home is where the heart is. There's no place like home. We have all heard and said things like this. We all know what home is supposed to be, but I want you to pause for a moment and really think about that. Not what home looks like, but what home feels like when you walk into it after a long day. That means that the job of the homemaker is not simply managing tasks. She is the creator of home. She is transforming the house into the home. She is shaping atmosphere. She is the keeper of the hearth. And once you start seeing homemaking through this lens, you begin to realize why surface level advice so often falls short. She is creating the emotional climate of the home, the rhythm, the tone, the sense of safety that allows people to rest, to grow, to be themselves. Home is not just a physical space, it is the feeling of stability when life feels uncertain, the comfort of predictable rhythms, the quiet assurance that someone is holding things together behind the scenes. It is nourishment of the body through meals and rest, the mind through calm spaces, the spirit through warmth and belonging. Family is the foundation of society, and home is the foundation of family. And when you look at it this way, the work of homemaking takes on a completely different weight. That makes the work of homemaking deeply meaningful. But here is where many women get lost, and this misunderstanding creates enormous pressure. They think sanctuary means perfection, spotless floors, magazine worthy rooms, endless productivity, and if you've ever felt like your home had to look flawless in order to feel peaceful, you are not alone in that belief. But sanctuary is not perfection. Sanctuary is stability. Sanctuary is warmth. Sanctuary is predictability. Sanctuary is the deep exhale people feel when they walk through the door. Sanctuary is peace. And that kind of home is built through steady rhythms and simple systems, not constant pressure. And once you understand that difference, your mindset begins to shift naturally. Once you understand the deeper purpose of homemaking, your mindset begins to change. And as we walk through these shifts, notice which one feels like a release of pressure for you, because most people find at least one that changes everything.
Shift 1. Stewardship over performance.
You are not performing homemaking for an audience. You are stewarding an environment where real people live real lives. You are the keeper of the hearth. And this single shift alone can remove an enormous amount of invisible pressure. That means asking, does my home support our daily rhythm? Instead of, does my home look impressive? And when that question changes, your priorities begin to change too.
Shift 2. Maintenance creates emotional calm.
A chaotic environment creates mental stress, whether we realize it or not. Simple maintenance habits, like your nightly reset, are not just about cleaning. They create emotional steadiness. Mornings begin calmly, shared spaces feel welcoming, decision fatigue decreases. And if you've ever walked into a reset space and felt your shoulders drop without even realizing why, that's emotional regulation through environment. Maintenance is an act of care. The space around us can create or relieve stress. In our homes, our safe spaces, we should strive to relieve stress, not create more. Clutter creates stress. Cleanliness relieves it. Chaos creates stress. Order relieves it.
Shift 3. Simplicity builds stability.
Complex systems break under real life. They look impressive, but they rarely survive busy seasons. Simple habits endure because of their simplicity, like the one-touch rule, predictable routines, and realistic expectations. And if you've ever abandoned a system because it was just too complicated to maintain, you already understand why simplicity matters. Simplicity creates consistency, and consistency builds peace. Lack of consistency creates chaos, which creates stress. Simple routines are not just about getting things done. That's just what you see on the surface, but you have to look deeper. The routines are about setting the tone, bringing peace and stability, and giving people space to just be, to exist without constant chaos, to live and grow without constant stress and pressure, to have space to thrive instead of being constantly stuck on survive. That's what real homemaking is about.
Shift 4. Presence matters more than perfection.
The tone of your home comes more from your presence than your productivity, and this is one of the most freeing shifts for many homemakers. A calm voice, welcoming arms, a loving heart, predictable rhythms and routines, gentle transitions between parts of the day. These things shape the emotional atmosphere more than perfectly folded towels ever will. And when you begin to embody that presence, the atmosphere of your home starts changing before you even realize it. Now, we bring all of this into real, tangible daily practice because purpose and mindset are sustained through simple action, because meaningful purpose is sustained through ordinary habits. And these are not complicated systems, they are small, steady actions that quietly shape the feeling of your home every single day.
The nightly reset, protecting tomorrow's peace.
Your nightly reset is not about having a spotless kitchen. It is about giving your future self and your family a calm starting point the next morning. And if you've ever woken up to a peaceful kitchen, you already know how powerful that feeling is. A nightly reset means the dishes get cleaned, counters get cleared and wiped down, living room gets picked up, coffee pot gets set up for morning bags or backpacks get readied for morning. You are preparing the emotional tone of tomorrow. You are giving yourself a fresh start in the morning.
The one-touch rule, guarding the atmosphere.
Clutter creates visual stress, even when we think we're used to it. The one touch rule prevents buildup before it begins. Coat hung immediately, mail sorted on arrival, dishes rinsed right away, shoes returned to their home. And when these tiny habits become automatic, shared spaces begin to feel lighter without massive effort. These small acts protect the calm feeling of shared spaces.
Maintenance rhythms, preventing crisis mode.
A sanctuary cannot exist in constant emergency cleaning. Simple maintenance rhythms keep life flowing. One laundry day every week instead of stressing about laundry every day. Quick bathroom wipe during morning routine. 5-minute evening family pickup. Everyone gets involved because everyone lives there. And if you've ever experienced the difference between maintenance and crisis mode, you know how dramatically it changes your stress level. Maintenance is the quiet backbone of stability.
Functional systems, designing for real life.
A peaceful home works with your natural habits, not against them. Accessible cleaning supplies, drop zones near entryways, meal plans based on real schedules. Because when your systems match your real life, daily tasks begin to flow naturally. Function supports flow, and flow supports peace. Your systems have to support the life you live, otherwise, they will fail you every time. When you understand your deeper purpose, shift your mindset, and support it with simple daily systems, homemaking stops feeling like a endless work. Instead, it becomes the steady tending of a living space, a place where people feel safe, supported, and truly at home. And in the next section, we're going to take this foundation and look at how it shows up in everyday life in ways that are both practical and sustainable. Let's make this real because a healthier homemaker mindset isn't about perfect routines. It's about small shifts that actually work on a Tuesday afternoon when everyone's hungry and the dog tracked a mud through the house. Before you think you need a brand new system, try this first. Instead of reinventing your life, stack one small habit onto something you already do. If you make coffee every morning, unload the dishwasher while it brews. If you watch TV at night, wipe off the tables during commercials. If you're waiting for the microwave, wipe down the stovetop. Tiny actions tied to existing habits is called habit stacking, and it's how routines are developed. It's how real homes stay functional. And here's the part nobody talks about. Consistency beats intensity every single time. If you missed a routine, that doesn't mean you failed. It means life happened, as it always does and always will. For example, you planned a full reset cleaning day, and then your kid got sick, work ran late, or you just didn't have the energy. Instead of scrapping everything, pick one anchor task. Make the beds, clear the sink, vacuum the living room. One anchor task keeps your home moving forward without overwhelming you, and that movement beats stagnation every day of the week. Now let's talk about comparison, because this one quietly drains more energy than dirty dishes. Instead of chasing a magazine perfect house, build a house that fits your people. If you have young kids, baskets on the floor beats decorative trays every day of the week. If your spouse works nights, blackout curtains matter more than aesthetic curtains. If your grandkids visit, clear surfaces matter more than styled ones. Function is not failure. Function is wisdom. Function must always come before form, or you will force yourself and your family to live in a beautiful, cold, and lifeless museum. And if you feel stuck or unmotivated, don't look for motivation. Look for motion. Ask one question: what is my next smallest task? Not clean the kitchen, just load 3 dishes. Momentum builds confidence, not the other way around. When systems are simple and realistic, they fade into the background. They become quiet support, invisible strings pulling daily life forward. Dishes get done, laundry moves, clutter gets managed without constant stress. And that's the real goal. Not a perfect home, but a home that runs smoothly enough that you have the time and energy to focus on the people living inside it. Because in the end, homemaking isn't about managing things, it's about caring for lives. If you're burned out right now, please hear this. You are not failing at homemaking, but you may be carrying expectations and habits that make your daily life harder. You don't need a brand new personality. You don't need to become superhuman. And you definitely don't need to do everything perfectly. You just need a healthier mindset, one built on realistic expectations, steady habits, common sense, and compassion for yourself. Homemaking is not about doing more, it's about being the keeper of the hearth and building a home that supports real life for you and your people. And if today's video helped you take a breath, reset your expectations, or say your home a little differently, then you're already moving in the right direction. Now, if you're ready to make housekeeping simpler, head on over to keepinghome.org and get housekeeping hacks. It's a collection of time tested, grandmother approved tips to help you create a clean, cozy, functional home. All right, y'all, that's it for today. If this video was helpful, go ahead and give it a like. It helps this channel reach the folks who need it. And if keeping home feels like your kind of place, I'd love for you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Remember, you don't need to do everything. You just need to tend what's been given to you. Take care of your home, take care of your people, and don't forget to take care of yourself too. Stay safe and be well, and I'll see you next time here at Keeping Home.